Hello, everybody. This is Mike from the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. My wife Beth and I would like to invite you to join us each week as we examine life at the intersection of marriage, family, careers, and ministry. Through 28 years of ministry, 26 years of marriage, 23 years of professional careers, and 21 years of being parents to 3 kids, our fun and honest discussions promise to have something for everyone. And now, on to the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. We are back once again, myself.
And Beth.
And Beth.
You're supposed to say Mike so I can say, and Beth.
I said myself.
No, you said, yeah, but who says myself and Beth? You know, you would say Mike and Beth.
And we have with us our special guest,
Maria!
Why didn't you let Maria say that?
Sorry. Go ahead. I was so excited. I couldn't help myself.
Who are you?
Maria.
Maria was laughing when I was doing the intro saying, hey, hello, everybody. Why? Is that
don't know.
cringe?
Is it cringy?
I don't know.
Go ahead. Just tell us.
I don't know, but I think that you should start opening it up like how in like I don't know what movie it's actually from, but like in the Regal ad, it's like, hey, you guys.
Oh, the
I
one
don't
where they
even
go
know
show
what
the
movie that's actually
clips
from.
of everybody.
I just know it's
Yeah.
from the Regal commercial.
I know what you're talking about.
But
Yeah.
hello, everybody is our thing.
Yeah, it is. It's our tagline.
Yeah,
I mean, it's what the
everybody.
fans expect. And so if we change it now, it really interferes with all of our trademark and copyright and all the other intellectual property.
But look,
Yeah.
we left the last episode off with that cliffhanger. Last week, right when we were recording, Beth had to leave to go to school to pick up Josh.
Mm-hmm.
I told the whole story about how the school was trying to make us turn right. I refused. I turned left. The vice principal got mad at me and yelled at me. I wrote the administration a letter, email letting them know I would never, over my dead body, be turning right. I would always turn left because that's the way I have to go home. So then you went last Friday to...
And I tried to ask which car you had driven so I could drive another car.
Yes.
To not be identified.
So when you
Yeah.
left, I said, Maria, which way do you think Mom will turn, right or left? And you said?
Right.
And I said, right. What way did you turn?
Well, I turned right, but
There
immediately.
you go. No, you turned
Immediately,
right.
as soon as I got to the neighborhood, which they weren't happy with. She threw up her arms and stuff. They weren't happy, but I turned right and then immediately got in the left lane and turned left. But I did turn right because I am a rule follower. I mean, there will be some rules that I will disobey, but I have to have a really good reason to not follow a rule.
Is the reason not that's where we live is to the left?
Yeah, no, that's not enough because, I mean, right now, I just didn't feel like, again, that was not the hill I wanted to die on.
And
So,
what, all week long, what way are they making you turn?
Well, what do you mean? The whole week? They were
Yeah,
making
in
us turn-
in the afternoons, leaving the school.
right, but now,
No, they're not.
Now they're not. Now it's open. You can turn whichever way
Exactly.
you want.
You're
Is it
welcome.
actually?
Yes.
Yes, you turn however
I
you want.
crushed the administration. I
don't
broke
think
their
it was
spirit.
you.
They have
I
not been
don't.
out there anymore trying to make people
I think
turn.
they just don't have enough people to stand out there in addition to standing in the parking lot with the lightsabers. They have these things.
They do
you
have
noticed?
lightsabers.
It's like lightsabers.
We have
things.
those at Epcot parking.
Yeah,
and it was
that's
dark.
Yeah, that's what
We
they
went to the
decorate. That's what they
cars.
direct
But how
with.
big was yours?
Like this.
No,
Oh,
theirs is
no,
like
It is a
lightsabers.
lightsaber.
actually?
Yes. Like if they turned them on, they'd be
And one of
red.
your, I won't
Awesome.
say names to like protect the innocent, but one of your and Jacob's favorite teachers has been out there with his lightsaber, and I want to roll down the window every day and be like,
His initials may or may not be CB.
Yeah, but anyway, I've seen I've seen him out there, but I don't want to distract him because he's very focused.
The
on,
other
like,
lady
directing
is
the lightsaber.
Joshua's Jamaican food nutrition cooking class lady.
Oh, is it? I didn't know
Yeah.
that's who that was.
That's who that is.
I should roll down the window and talk to her about cooking tips.
You
and tell
should.
her all of my cooking
I figured
tips.
you talked to her about Jamaica because you've been to Jamaica more times than you've been in our kitchen.
Well, that's true. I would be much more qualified to talk about Jamaica than I am about anything that has to do with cooking.
Right.
Yes.
But today we're going to talk to somebody that's very qualified about Disney.
That would be Maria.
That would be
In
Maria.
the kitchen.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, the Docking Bay 7 kitchen.
Oh,
Okay,
that's true.
well,
that's true.
Yeah.
You were in food services.
But we're not seeing the evidence of that here per se, I would say, like in our own home yet. So I need to see like true evidence of this ability. And
I'm not getting
something.
paid here.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Getting paid is called we're letting you live here.
Rent free. That would be your payment.
Yeah. All right. So
We'll start deducting that from your quote check
we've been talking about you a lot over the last couple of months on the podcast
because we love you.
about you and Jacob and your internships, just high level stuff. But I thought it would be neat to take just 15, 20 minutes right now. And we're going to interview Jacob after you to hear about his internship because he's back now from South Carolina in the Audubon Society. But you've now spent 2 summers of your life. And
More
actually,
than 2
last
summers,
year,
8
last year
months.
was winter, spring, and summer
Yeah.
at Disney. This summer, you were back
Like a
at
total
Disney.
of a year.
Yeah, you spent a lot of your life there. So let's just start off from the beginning. Why Disney? Why do you want to work for Disney?
At the hottest place on earth, specifically Orlando.
Well, okay. I love going to the theme parks. And when I was younger and I learned about the Disney College program, I really wanted to do it. Basically what it is if you're a college student, then you can apply. And if you get accepted, you can take a semester or up to a year off from school and go and live in Orlando and work at the parks. And they like assign you a role. They assign you an apartment and like roommates and stuff. You like obviously still pay rent. And then you can choose to take online classes from your college or not. But you can also do it up to like, I think like a year after you graduate. But anyways, when I learned about that, I knew I wanted to do that.
And I was surprised to learn it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, like since the 80s, I think.
I had coworkers that are my age. Everybody knows I'm 50. That talked to me when I told them you were doing it and said, "Oh wow, I did that program."
Yeah,
so
I
that
want
would
to
have
say it's
been
been
the
around,
80s or 90s.
I think it's been the late 80s.
Over
Yeah.
40 years. Is what I
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah. But yeah. So I learned about it when I was in like elementary school. And then I knew I wanted to do that because I loved going to like Disney World and stuff. And then like that was my favorite place to visit. And they used to offer it in both California and in Florida. And ideally, I wanted to do either one of each or probably just one in California because I can visit the Florida one all the time, like, because it's a lot closer. But the California one, like, we don't get to visit as much. So I was like, I would want to, like, stay there because obviously I can't go as much. And so, but then with COVID, they stopped doing the California one and they don't do one over there anymore. So they only do one here. So then it isn't necessarily that I love Orlando.
Oh, why? Because like it's 1,000 degrees and the most humidity of any place on earth and very
rains every
crowded.
day,
Yeah, I
and
mean, what's
people
not
don't
to
know how to
love?
drive,
Yeah, I
and-
mean, come on.
Yeah, the
High
traffic
cost of
is
living.
awful.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to do and it's fun. And so, yeah. But yeah, I just liked visiting, so then I knew I wanted to like work there, and also like I would like to go back and work for the company like afterwards, not as like a frontlines cast member, like a guest facing role, but like
Sorry, that was our
Sorry,
dog.
that was our
Yeah.
cat and dog getting in a fight.
Yeah.
but
Cat fight, dog fight.
but yeah, but as like an Imagineer or like something higher up, like on the creative side.
There's
But-
something
Which
higher
we've
than Imagineer.
heard.
No, like
Oh.
no.
Well, the
I mean,
CEO.
well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
technically, yes.
I mean-
but I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, something like higher up than like what I did.
You want to be the next Bob Iger.
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
But we will interject and say Disney is a company that seems to truly value people working their way up. Like they hire a lot of people who may have done the college program, then internships, then actually gotten jobs.
yeah, pretty much. Most of my leaders, both on my last program and my current program, all started with the Disney College program and then went part-time, full-time, and then, trainer, cord, and then leader or whatever. And then also like people that I've talked to that are Imagineers, they started at the Disney College program, then they got an internship, and then they were able to get a job with Imagineering, and yeah.
So
I
a few
think
things.
we were told by a friend of ours that's an Imagineer. I think she told me one time over 80% of upper level employees were Disney
Disney,
College
right,
program
Yeah.
people.
And I think for Disney, because I do want to talk about this a little bit, kind of like, I guess, misconceptions even I had going in, but as a parent. But I think for Disney, I think there's something to be said for if you complete that college program, because you're working in some really difficult circumstances, which we'll get you to talk about. But I think that shows like grit, determination, and a true love of like Disney and the company and their values and an ability to kind of persevere. But if we back up even further, this is a really competitive program, because I know when you applied the first time, you were kind of like, oh, I don't think I'll even get accepted, right? I mean, we don't know exactly what they look for, but it's competitive.
I feel like it isn't as competitive now as it used to be. It definitely used to be like more competitive. I think just because like they didn't have as much housing options, but then now they have like they built like apartment complexes, and so like I don't think it's as competitive now, but yeah.
Well, other misconceptions, because it's called the Disney College Program. Some questions I get as a parent all the time. It's like, oh, what kind of college credit is she getting? Or what classes is she taking? I mean, talk to us, like, are you picking your role? Or are you like, oh my gosh, I want to work in Rise Up the Resistance, so that's the ride I'm assigned. Like, how does this process work?
Well, some schools do actually offer, like, they will give you some sort of, like, credit for when you do it. Neither of the schools that I attended were schools that did that, but some schools do offer credit, and then it's just called the college program because it's for college age students. And while you're there, you can choose to still take online college classes if you want. And then,
but that's probably challenging due to work schedule.
I have friends that did it and said that it was very, very hard, and that they did not make great grades. Yeah, because it's just hard with work and school and everything. But yeah, and so you can if you want. I didn't, but because I also like was planning on transferring schools, so then I was like, it doesn't really matter. And so yeah, and then this time it was over the summer, so like I didn't need to take summer classes. But basically, when you apply, if you make it past like the first part of the like application process, then you go to a phone interview, and on the phone interview, they ask you a bunch of questions.
And you clearly told them your passion was parking, right?
Yes,
directing cars in parking
I begged
lots.
and begged.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
No, you go, you tell them. They ask just like a ton of stuff. They ask like previous work experience. They ask like why you want to do it, like all this kind of stuff, what you would do in different situations. And then they ask like what your top 3 roles would be, like if you could pick anything. So on both of my programs, I said the same thing. The first thing out of my mouth was put me anywhere in Galaxy's Edge. I said that on both of my interviews because I love Star Wars. That was like my dream location. Like I don't care what I would do. I was like, I would do anything, even if it was just like custodial. I would love to do that in Galaxy's Edge. Yeah. And then the second thing I would say, because then they were like, well, what about like role specifics? That's a location. I would talk about children's activities because
you did kids stuff.
I think that would be like still probably like my like dream role. Galaxy's Edge was definitely like dream location, but like I think like if I got to pick anything that I could do, children's activities would be very, very fun. You're just kind of doing like the games and like you roast marshmallows every night, like at the resorts and do
and
an
the
outdoor
pool
movie.
bingo
And you do bingo
and stuff.
and trivia, and you just like do
Play with
crafts.
kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
You're basically like a kid resort party planner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're not having to babysit. You're not, it's just like, hey,
You're going to pop in,
gonna
show up at
do
the
some
pool.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then my other one, I don't remember what else I said on my first one. I think I just said attractions. And then I specifically did mention, I was like, Rise of Resistance would be awesome. Jungle Cruise would be really fun because I love to talk. Whatever. And then on this one, they kind of quickly brushed over children's activities. We talked about it a lot more on my first interview, and I think it's just because I was only there for the summer, I think they just kind of realized, because children's activities aren't a lot of openings for that one, and like I think for the summer they're just like, because there's already so few openings in general, they're going to give it to somebody that's going to be there longer term than like 3 months.
Yeah.
And so like then we spent a lot more time talking about attractions, but on my second like program interview, we spent majority of the interview talking about Jungle Cruise and Safari, because on my previous program I had done parking. And so I already knew how to like drive a large vehicle because we drove the trams. I was familiar with safety critical. I know how to talk to large like groups of guests. I can memorize like a thing. I can also like improvise, like all that kind of stuff. So then that's why we spent a lot of the time talking about that. So that's what I thought I was going to get.
So let's talk about that 1 second. So you interview and then they tell you you're in. And then I can't remember, you'll remember. So for the traditional Disney college program, it was only like a few weeks before that you knew what you would do. And then we didn't know who you were living with till we showed up that day. Can you talk a little bit about your job assignment and like just showing up and living situation?
Yeah, it's the same timeline for the alumni program and for the college program. You'll normally find out about like, I think it's like roughly like a month after like you apply or whatever, like you do your interview and stuff. Cause I like applied in January and then I found out at the beginning of January, and then I found out at the end of January. And then for like roles, for my first program, it was safety critical, so you have to get like a drug testing. And so for that, I found out that I had to go in and get a drug testing done
In December.
It was like maybe like 3 or 4 weeks before I moved in. And then, so then I knew that I was something safety critical. And then I didn't find out my role until maybe like a week after that. So like 2 or 3 weeks before you move in. And then, yeah, you don't meet anyone that you're going to be living with until you walk in the door.
And before we get that, what was your first role?
My first role was Epcot parking, and then I got cross-trained while I was there to also work Auto Plaza.
And what did we all think when you got Epcot parking? We were like,
Yeah, I was very nervous because I thought that I was going to hate it. And like, I was like very upset and was like kind of like, I was very upset because I did not think I was going to like it. And like, yeah, that's like one of those roles that everybody always like hates on.
Because it is 1,000 degrees and it's outside, right? That's one of the things. Yeah. Even I know when you and I went to the parks, we would meet people and we'd have the buttons like, I'm celebrating my, daughter's DCP. And people would be like, where are you working? And you'd be like, Epcot parking. And they'd be like,
Yeah. Like, and like even that still happened like throughout my program. Like whenever like we would be like anywhere, if I was like eating or like whatever, cast members, like if they're there, like they'd be like, oh, like where do you make magic? And I'd be like, oh, Epcot parking. Their immediate reaction was always either like, I'm so sorry, or they would be like, like you're Mickey's strongest soldiers, or like they would say something along those lines. And
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Did they stand up and salute you?
Yeah. Of course they did. They give her free meals. Not just kidding.
No, but yeah, it was always like an I'm so sorry reaction.
So what did you do, super high level quickly, what did you do in Epcot parking? And then what did you think, what was that experience really like?
So for parking, we obviously like you stand there, you park the cars. There's like a bunch of different positions. So like you can be actually out in the parking lot. You can be the one that's like directing them to which parking lot you want to go to because we have multiple parking lots. You can be like driving the tram, spieling in the back of the tram.
And spieling's like where you talk.
Yeah, where you talk.
Tell them like safety things, but also talk.
Yeah. And then you could be like at the end of the night, you could be like over at rideshare helping direct like the rideshare loop, just like stuff like that. And so yeah, there's a bunch of stuff like that, and we would do it obviously like early in the morning. Like we would get there like, I think my earliest shift, I want to say was like I had to get there at like 6:30 a.m. And then a closing shift on a regular night, we were out on a regular night was 11:15. And then on like one of the like deluxe resort after hours. I think it was like 12:15, 12:30, something like that. And then on the Epcot after hours nights, it was like 2:30 a.m. And then we also got
And
to
by
work
the way, as a
marathons.
college program student, I mean, you're getting all the really good shifts, right? I mean, like you're just working, very consistently 8 hours or whatever. What's that like? Like, how was your sleep schedule?
I mean, honestly, for the most part, especially at the beginning, I would like only get scheduled closing. So like you were just there late every
At
night.
Mhm.
Which like, yeah, it wasn't my schedule didn't start getting really messed up until I got cross trained at Auto Plaza, and I honestly brought that on myself.
And what is Auto Plaza? Are you selling cars? Like,
No, Auto Plaza is the toll booths at like they're the first cast members that you see when you get to the park. They're the people that are at the toll selling you parking.
Okay.
And so, because for them, Auto Plaza closes 2 hours before the park closes. And so, and they also open, I think an hour before early entry. So, like, I had Auto Plaza shifts where I had to get there at like 5:30 a.m. And the craziest was like, if you worked at Animal Kingdom, like, it was not even an opening shift, and I got there at 7:30 a.m. and that was like considered like a mid. Like it wasn't even like an opening.
Because that park opens at
Yes,
8.
it opened so early. And so like, yeah, like, but yeah, when I got cross-trained at Auto Plaza, I kind of brought it on myself, to be fair, but I loved being able to like get off work at 12:30 and go eat lunch after work. And I've already worked that day. I worked a 6-hour shift, but yeah, and then I would stay up late and go out to the parks with my friends, and I would get like no sleep, and then the next morning I would do it again. And then the next day I might switch it up and do parking that day, and I would work a closing shift and whatever. And so yeah, that's kind of when the schedule started to get like funky. But before, like at the beginning of my program, it was pretty much just like you close every night.
But you liked this. Now, I know that we had heard stories about it might get so hot that your shoes would melt, because
Which
you're standing,
they did.
because you're standing in the parking lot and there's no umbrellas, no shade. Sometimes there were thunderstorms. You worked in the rain, and if there were lightning, of course, safety wise. But okay, so why is this appealing again? Tell us why this is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, that part wasn't like great. Like it was really hot. Like it did get really hot, and like our shoes, they really did. They like melted to the pavement, which was crazy. And then yeah, if it was just raining, it didn't matter how hard it was pouring. We were still out there unless there was lightning. Like my last shift, it was pouring rain. Like it was a hurricane, but there wasn't lightning, so we didn't have to go like undercover. And so yeah, so then that like was kind of crazy. But then sometimes that was fun because like me and like one of my like really good friends, Jackie, like her last shift, it was also pouring down rain, and so like no one was really coming in and parking, and so like there wasn't really anything for us to do, so like we just got to kind of like dance around in the rain. It was fun. Like I don't know, like we made it fun. But the best part was definitely like all the people that worked there were like fabulous. Like we genuinely had like the best leaders, the best coordinators. They would set up so many like fun events for us.
That's what I was gonna say. You got to do some behind the scenes tours of rides and stuff.
Yeah, like our leaders would set up really, really cool opportunities for us, and just like they really did like look out for you and like had your back, and they were like very supportive. And everybody that worked there, like I literally like still like love them to death. Like literally, like I met some of my very best friends there. Like literally one of the girls, like I'm like Riley, like I'm literally going and staying at her apartment a week from today. Like I like, yeah, like.
But I feel like you found your people, because when I would come to visit you and meet these people,
her tribe.
There were
She's
always
found her tribe.
Yeah, but there were always the people, who'd be like, well, this is so and so, and he's as obsessed with Star Wars as whatever, or this is. I feel like you truly, that was the place. I mean, some people go to high school, some to college, some to a club. I feel like this is the place that you found the other people who loved, Disney or Marvel or Star Wars as much as you, maybe.
Yeah, the people definitely are what made it fun, because then it's like you're working all these shifts with your friends, and like also like my favorite shifts were the marathon shifts. Like, those were so much fun because they were so fast paced and like there was just so much energy. And like that was like one thing that like I am thankful that like I worked at Epcot parking because like the other parks don't get to do that. But like we literally like for like the 3 nights in a row that we would have marathons, like my shift, I would clock in at midnight. And then I would work until like 11 a.m. the next day.
And I know this because I came to visit you during one of those when your sleep schedule was very disrupted. Yes.
Yeah. But like those ones were so much fun. Like I literally loved them. And so like, and yeah, those ones were awesome. And
but
so like,
also, if we back up 1 second, you get to get in, as a person who works there, you get to get into most of the parks free. Right?
Yeah, while you're working there, you get into all 4 of the Disney World parks, both water parks. And like, again, like as you're actively working there, you can also get into any of the other parks around the world.
But your family doesn't, by the way. Everybody
Tokyo.
Thinks they do, but your family doesn't.
You can earn guest tickets.
Yeah.
But
you accrue it kind of like people accrue PTO.
It's every 150 hours you work, you get 3 guest tickets. You can only get up to 9 tickets though.
But that's one of the things you love because I know sometimes you call us and you'd be like, oh, I'm going to go Rise of the Resistance before I go to work. You know, you could do that.
Like, and especially, that's another thing. I love Epcot. And so, like, that was another reason why I think I really liked working at Epcot is, like, I would, like, before work, I would just get there, like, a couple hours early and go ride Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I would just go ride, like, literally, like, one of my favorite rides at all of Disney and then go to work. And it was so fun.
Okay, so you reapply to the alumni program.
Because you did this 8 months.
You did this 8 months. You did it for January to August.
In
came
parking.
back,
Mm-hmm.
went to college for a year.
Yeah.
Decided you wanted to reapply for the alumni program. You got accepted, and you kind of got your dream a little bit. You got your dream location,
partially.
right?
Yeah.
So where did you end up?
So I opened my thing. Again, like I said on this interview, we talked about attractions the whole time. That's what I really, really wanted, like role-wise. And I opened it. And I knew I wasn't getting attractions because I hadn't gotten a drug test. So I knew I was not going to be at attractions. But, and I also knew I was at children's activity for that same reason. But, I opened it and it said food and beverage. And I was like, oh, all right.
Following in the footsteps of your older brother who has worked at Chick-fil-A and Bojangles.
But,
Yes.
so then I was like, all right, but it doesn't say your location until you fill out like some other like paperwork or whatever. So I filled out the other like stuff that I had to fill out. And then I saw my location was Docking Bay 7 at Galaxy's Edge, which is one of the restaurants there. And so I worked at Docking Bay 7, Ronto Roasters, and Katsaka's Kettle, which was in Galaxy's Edge, which was, like I said, it was like my dream location.
And for people who don't know what Galaxy's Edge is, this is what I would call the Star Wars section of Hollywood Studios in Disney World. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was really exciting.
So when you did that, what kinds of things did you do in your work in food services there?
So it's different for every food service place around Disney World, but for us, I was in the kitchen, I was at the counter, I was at the register, I was bussing tables, I was doing stalker, running around backstage.
They let you
stocking
serve
things.
beer even though you weren't 21, which was shocking to those of us from North Carolina where that doesn't happen. Yeah.
The laws in Florida are different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could be handing out food. I could be, just like anything, making popcorn, making the cold brews at Katsaka's Kettle. Anything.
But how did you get to dress? And tell us a little bit about the immersiveness of this location. I thought that was really cool, the story aspect.
Yeah. Well, we got to that was one thing that I was very excited about for Galaxy's Edge was like the costumes, obviously. And like the thing about Galaxy's Edge is like it's all like a big story, and everything that's like Galaxy's Edge is canon in the Star Wars universe. Like it's basically the whole thing is taking place you're on the planet of Batuu. The section of Batuu that you're on when you're in Galaxy's Edge is Black Spire Outpost. And so everyone that's there in Black Spire Outpost, like that works there, like we're all like canon. We're all in the Star Wars universe.
Are you going to be in a movie?
Maybe one
Your
day.
character?
Maybe one
Hey,
day.
and we could ask people. We'll sell autographed pictures of her later as a
Let's not-
fundraiser.
Let's not spread false information.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, like you get to like pick like they have different options for shirts and pants and everything like that you would want to wear, and so you can like obviously like have your choice, which is really cool because they want it to just feel like, you know, everyone there is a local, like everyone's been living there, and so it's really fun. And so then you get to also like create your own story for your character. And so like, and they pretty much just give you like free reign with that. Like,
Except you took a class though, so you would know some of the parameters of that.
there wasn't
Yeah.
many parameters, but it was
Mhm.
honestly just a class, like honestly just on the, like a history of the planet.
So if somebody like me went in and I'm like, I don't know what this planet is. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just like a
yeah.
history of the planet,
Mhm.
honestly. But yeah, so then that was really cool. And we got to like come up with like our character and like what our story was. And then like there were guests that would come up and like they would ask like, you know, like what's the, you know, like what's your Batuan story? Like what's, you know, what's your story? Where are you from? You know, whatever. And you got to tell them.
So super high level, what is yours?
So I was born and raised in Pica, which is like a small community that lives, that's like kind of on a river. And then once I got old enough and I had to like move out or whatever, I moved to Galma, which is kind of like a rougher part of Batu. It's definitely like the roughest area of
It's where you get your
Batu.
schooling on the streets, right?
It is, they're known for illegal droid fights and illegal pod racing. And so I lived there because I could live there rent free because I'm just living in an old,
Sort of like living
scrapped
here
out.
at our house.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I'm living in like an old, like scrapped out ship. And so then, yeah. So everyone that's working, in Black Spire Outpost, like at Galaxy's Edge, they're all in debt to Olga. That's why we're all there. Olga kind of runs all of Black Spire Outpost. And so every single person there is in debt to her. I personally got in debt because what I was doing in Galma was I was helping people design and like do like cosmetic stuff for their droids that they would have do droid fighting. And so I went into Black Spire Outpost and I was like stealing materials that I wanted to use for people's droids, and Olga caught me and I had to pay her back. And so then all the money that I made working at Docking Bay 7 went to paying back my debt to Olga, but then my side hustle of like doing like the cosmetic stuff for the droids in Galma, that all went to my savings so that then once I paid off my debt, I could leave Batu and go and travel the galaxy and see everywhere else that the galaxy has to
Nice.
offer.
Mhm. So now that you've spent essentially your life at Disney, if somebody was listening and thinking about doing the Disney College program, what is the best thing about the Disney College program to you?
Definitely the people that I met. I met a bunch of people on this program that were just like wonderful and I loved, and like you get to meet so many people that are from all over the world.
Yeah,
like,
your roommates were from Norway.
yeah, both my roommates were from Norway, and then like also like most of like my friend group from this program was from other countries. And so like you get to meet people from all over the world, which is really cool. And then also like
Is there anybody from the Dagobah system?
no. And you get to like I literally met like some of my like very, very best friends like through like the college program. Like and that was a lot of another reason that was like a big draw for me to want to do another one, was so that then I could like live closer to them and like see them this summer, because like the people that you met was definitely like, that was definitely my favorite part of the whole thing. That's like what makes it worth it.
Well, try to take yourself back even to when you first started. What do you think's like the hardest thing? Like if you're encouraging them, like, okay, you got to power through this part. Because I remember it was hard for us to leave you, because I had envisioned, because it was the quote Disney College program, I guess I had naively thought it would be like college move-in day, where, you know, before you move in, I know who your roommate is and I meet them. But when we moved you in that first time, none of your roommates were there. The only roommate we met was moving out.
Or that you would
week.
have RAs or some
Right,
type of
yeah.
like supervision.
Yeah,
while
there
you
was
were
no
there.
like.
But you just straight up go adulting.
Because you're like in
Yeah.
an apartment where you are paying, the rent is deducted from your paycheck.
There's not a food court.
There's no food plan. There's no meal plan. I think, and I mean, so talk a little bit about that, because I think that's a big, and not that it's intentional, but you just hear Disney college program, you're used to moving your kids in. So when we went down and like none of your roommates are there and there's no meal plan or anything, I'm like, where am I leaving her? What's happening?
So what's the hardest?
The hardest part, I don't know. There's like definitely like, I didn't really have it this much on this program. My first program, definitely budgeting.
Yeah.
Because since like, I mean, I was literally 18 and like, obviously like paying my own rent, also like paying for like my gas, my groceries. I'm having to feed myself. I'm having to like do everything. And it's like, yeah, that's all normal stuff. But like, I had just gone from being a high schooler. Then I
had
spent one semester
semester. Yeah.
and I was living in a dorm room with a full dining plan. Like, I had never done any of this. And so like, yeah, just being like immediately thrown into that. Like I was not good with budgeting because also like you're literally at Disney World. Obviously, yes, I want to go like eat at all the fun restaurants, buy all the merchandise, like do everything. And so like, yeah, like my first program, I think the hardest part was definitely budgeting. My second program was the hardest part. I don't know.
But you're extroverted. I also feel like some kids struggle, from what I've read on the forums, with like being alone. Like you went to the parks by yourself and stuff.
Yeah,
you know. But
I think that that's like,
hard.
I think that it just depends like on the person. Cause I like have friends that like, if they weren't going with their friends, they wouldn't go. But
Yeah.
like for me, like I would absolutely go by myself. One of my really good friends that I met, like honestly ended up being one of my best friends from my first program, Julia. We met because we were both going to the parks by ourselves, and I rode the bus to Hollywood Studios for an Ahsoka Tano event in January of 2024. And I didn't really have any friends yet, but that's why I was going by myself. And she was also there by herself. And we met, started talking, and like now I literally love Julia. Like she literally like 3 weeks ago, she flew down and like stayed with me like to visit so we could have a little weekend trip and like see each other again. Like, yeah. And it just like was because we were both going to the parks by ourselves. Like you just have to like actually like put yourself out there and like talk to people because like, yeah. And even when you're on like solo park days, like just talk to the cast members that are working. Like, yeah, you meet so many nice people like that.
And I know we have to wrap it up, but one other little thing, because I know we've talked about how it's not so college-y, but you did actually get to go, you can sign up to certain events. Like you got to hear Jordan Fisher speak. You got to go to some type of networking thing with Imagineers. Like they do offer things that you can sign up for, right? Like programming.
Yeah. Flamingo Crossings, they like,
That's
and
where
like
you
the
live.
Disney programs team. They'll set up like different like events. Like this summer, like she said, I got to go and like listen to like Jordan Fisher like talk, who's like one of my favorite actors, and like he talked about like, you know, being on Broadway and stuff. And then last year I got to do this thing, Tech Behind the Dreams, which is this big event that they do for Disney programs participants with like Imagineering. And they have all sorts of classes where you can learn just about like either like Disney history, or they have like financing classes where you can learn about like, you know, managing your money. They also just have like fun events where like they'll have like board game nights, or they'll have like craft nights, or they'll have, you know, whatever. And they have tons of events that they host. So even if you don't want to go to the parks or, you know, whatever, like they have stuff literally at the apartment complex that are like really cool.
Because you had a gym, and your apartment was a lot nicer than that first apartment. Wasn't
Yeah, it was
Mike?
very nice.
You had a pool, you had a gym, you had a lot of, and it's very safe. They
It
have
is,
security
yeah.
and things there. So that's another plus to it.
And I would say, honestly, loving Disney is not enough. Like you've got to have a work ethic.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm very proud of you about.
Because a lot of people love Disney, but yeah.
You worked 2 hard jobs and grinded it out.
Yeah.
And there were times you called and were like, oh, this is killing me.
Yeah.
You know, like this has been a hard week. Or
It's
I
95
got
degrees.
yelled at by
Yeah.
somebody, a drunk mom or whoever, but you have to just stick it out and kind of keep doing it. And so I think that's what I think college kids need to ask themselves is, do I have enough grit to get through this? And you came home matured after your first session.
Dramatically.
And I felt like this time you came home even more mature too. So I think that it is a positive experience if you can stick it out, because it does force you to grow up and you find out some stuff about yourself, like things maybe you didn't think you could get through and you can. And so,
because we had times like when you were sick and we had to try to deliver medicine to you, or you had to, like you said, the whole budgeting thing or managing roommate issues or work issues. There were just so many things that you had to do adulting really early on as an 18-year-old. So it was a really big growth opportunity.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts before we wrap this up?
I don't know. I loved it. Like I said, I would love to come back and work for the company again. But yeah, I guess both of my programs, I had two of what most people would probably say are the two of the, not as desired roles, quick service and parking.
And some people quit before they even started, right?
Yeah.
With parking, you showed up and people never even showed up for it.
Yeah. My first day of parking when I was in training, they told us, they were like, yeah, our training group today was supposed to be 6 people. Only 2 of you guys actually showed up for your program.
So there you showed 1/3 of the battle is showing up.
But it's just what you make of it. Because it's I'm sure that there have been plenty of people that had parking and they absolutely hated it. I'm sure there have been so many people that had, quick service and also absolutely hated it. But it's what you make it. And it's if you just have fun with it and yeah, it's all about your mentality towards it. If you go in thinking that you're gonna hate it, then yeah, you're gonna hate it. Mm-hmm. But you have to go in with an open mind, and even if you don't like it, you have to still look for the positives, because it's okay, well, at least I'm at Disney World. At least that was one thing that was me and my friends would constantly point out. There was one time towards the end of our program, we all went to Magic Kingdom and we were watching the fireworks together and stuff. And when we were walking to ride a ride after the fireworks, one of my friends was this is just so crazy that this is just a regular Tuesday night for us. But then for everyone else here, this is
they paid how much money.
They dreamed and worked for this for years and whatever. And so it's I don't know, just learning to appreciate stuff like that, because it's the job, like I said, it can be hard and it's obviously very hot and whatever, but you just have to learn to look for the positives in it, because when else are you gonna get those opportunities? When else am I gonna be just able to run around Walt Disney World doing whatever I want, riding whatever rides I want, and whatever,
and living your dream, because your dream was to do that. I remember so many times we talked about, you'd be I would love to have season tickets and just be able to do this, and you were able to live that dream, which is pretty awesome.
So we're proud of you for putting yourself out there and
taking a chance,
taking a risk,
and following your dreams. Yeah.
And it wasn't easy, but you did it twice.
And you persevered. Thanks. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks.
In the hottest times in Orlando.
Yeah. Well, as Chip would say, do it, lady. Do it, lady.
Do it, lady.
All right.
Do it, lady.
She's not going to bite for that. Yeah.
Fine. All right. Well, we're wrapping up our time with Maria. Next, we have Jacob. We get to hear a little bit. He had a little bit different summer.
Maria's in the most populated place on Earth. Jacob is in the least populated place on Earth.
Yes.
Yeah. So very different experiences.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Maria. We enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Yes. We're proud of you.
Thanks.
All right. Let's go find Jacob.
I just want to preface this by saying that I do not speak for the Walt Disney Company. This is just me talking about my experience on the Disney College program.
All right, we have now heard from Maria all about her job there at Disney, the Disney College Program, and Galaxy's Edge. Exciting stuff, huh, Beth?
Very exciting.
Do you wish you would have known something about the Disney College Program when you were that age?
Yes, and did you know that it actually existed? Because I work with people that are my age that did it. But like somehow the news of Disney College Program or the job that Jacob has, they weren't making it to Danbury up in the rural areas that I live.
They weren't making it up there to North Stokes.
No, I wasn't hearing about it.
Speaking of
I'm
North
surprised
Stokes,
you're not going to make a joke like, oh, the carrier pigeons didn't bring the notice or something. Usually y'all make fun of things like that.
well, I never make fun of your upbringing.
Oh, you do all the time. Anyway.
Jacob,
Yes.
welcome, son.
Yes.
I have a did you know about Danbury and North Stokes. I almost texted it to you last night.
All right, let's hear it.
I saw the North Carolina football state rankings come out.
Oh, boy.
Like the top 20 schools in every division. There's a bunch of divisions now, right?
Yeah.
So North Stokes is like,
They got to be 1A.
they're 1A or whatever they are.
because they're so small.
But they're like 8th in the state in football.
Out of how many? 9?
That's pretty good, huh,
that
Beth?
is good.
Yeah.
That's improvement.
And
yeah.
I think West was also ranked in whatever division they're in. They're in like the top 10.
yeah.
But no South.
Oh.
But you didn't like South.
Well, there wasn't a West when I was there. It was just North and South.
I know.
Yeah. So I'm just saying. So that's why you could only have that rivalry between the North and the
Right.
South part.
But you hated South.
No, I didn't hate them, but you felt like this animosity because that was the larger part of the county because they had King and Walnut Cove. So they got a lot of the resources, it felt like, as opposed to North Stokes, which was a lot smaller.
Yeah, Walnut Cove has a lot of resources.
I'm just anyway. Okay.
The metropolis of Walnut Cove.
They do have a Walmart. I mean, no, McDonald's now.
I was about to say.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, McDonald's, Bojangles,
yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Gas
They're-
station Bojangles.
Sam's Pizza.
Yeah, I mean, so they've got a lot.
Voted #1 pizza in Stokes County 10 years in a row.
Yeah,
At least that's what their sign says or
Oh.
something like that. I've never eaten there.
yeah.
So, Jacob,
Yes.
welcome home, son.
Happy to be back.
Are
We
you?
have missed you so much. I have, haven't I?
Mom talks about you every day.
If you would have listened to the podcast, though, you would know that you need to love me a little more, not just for being on bed rest for 12 weeks with you so that you could have life, but Dad wanted to give your room to Joshua. And I said, absolutely not, that we were not. But this is an early podcast where Dad was basically like, you don't live here anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And he was going to make you stay in a guest room. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
Jacob
heard
is
about
not
this.
a guest.
We took it to the polls, and all of our listeners sided with me.
No, they did
Yes,
not.
they
No,
did.
they didn't. Jacob, we're going to go back and
The
look.
majority said if he's an adult, if he's living outside the home most of the time, do
No,
whatever you
time
want
out.
to his room,
No, it's the
and
way
he can
you-
stay in a guest room.
If also the way you worded the question was misleading
How?
because I think most people would agree that as long as he's still in college, that doesn't mean that he's not
I'm not
permanently
out the
there.
house. I don't have anywhere to live yet, might I add.
Exactly, not permanently. It's
At
not
least,
like you're
yeah.
like with a
Come
job.
July, I'm not going to have a house. at all.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So so he needs a landing space
No, he
here.
will have a house because he's going to have a job.
But that doesn't mean you, Jacob. You,
Or he's going to be joining his buddy Brandon.
in the military.
Never in a million years.
Jacob, you
Living in
always have a
Arizona.
place here. Always have a place here with us.
Okay.
Yes.
But this past summer, you had a place in beautiful South Carolina,
Harleyville, South Carolina.
Harleyville, South
How did they
Carolina.
say it down there?
Harleyville.
Harleyville.
Like
Yeah.
Harley Davidson.
Harleyville,
Uh-huh.
just outside of Summer. What was it?
Although it's above Somerville,
It was a little bit above Somerville, which is just outside of Goose Creek.
About an hour.
just outside of Charleston.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was like and
just
so this
keeps
is a
going.
town that you have to keep going with the just outside of this and just outside of this, which is just outside of this.
Yeah, we would call it the Greater Charleston area, and by greater, an hour away.
And when we dropped
great.
Jacob off for context, your house didn't have an address. It had GPS coordinates.
Yeah.
Yeah, the house that you lived in.
Yeah.
By yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Out in the woods in the swamp.
With the swamp behind you. And how big's that alligator, the one?
Oh, there's like a 10 or 12 foot alligator for sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
A lot of little ones too, but that's the big one.
And you also saw and captured a copperhead.
Who are we interviewing? Jacob, you're like leading the witness.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
You're telling everybody
Speaking for me.
We were
his
talking
entire.
about the way he lived. Like,
Why can't we just ask him how did he
okay,
live?
well, we can do that. I'm just very excited because this is an exciting thing to have my children on the podcast.
Yeah.
So everybody gets to know how charming
Jacob.
they are.
Yes.
What was the internship you received? What was that?
Yes. So I was working for the Audubon, South Carolina branch of the National Audubon Society. So I was working at nature preserve they have called Francis Bidler Forest.
I always pronounce it wrong. I called it Beadler.
Oh, it's not Beadler?
It's a little bit of a pet peeve. I would just have to listen every time and ignore it because no matter how many times I corrected, it kept happening.
It's Bidler.
It's Bidler, yes.
Okay, Bidler,
And
okay.
I worked out there for the summer working with for the Audubon Society, doing a variety of different things. A lot of the work was based at Bidler Forest, it's an old growth swamp, cypress, tupelo trees, some of the oldest on the planet, uncut completely.
Does everything get Tupelo honey?
I could.
I'm thinking it may be.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know anything about that. I was working with the birds, not the bees and the honey, but did a lot of banding jobs, putting the aluminum bands on birds' legs, a lot in bird conservation, just, everything in between when you think of a job working with birds.
Why do birds need a band on their leg?
Well, let's back up. Why birds?
Oh, yeah.
That's the big question. Not everybody wakes up and says, I want to go band a bird.
Yeah, just has been an interest of mine since I was a kid. Reading bird books just always fascinated me, watching the birds out the window. Just always been fascinating to me, never really shook it. So I figured, why not give it a shot working with them hands-on.
You tended to be the one that kept our bird feeders and stuff
I would keep the
hummingbee.
bird feeders
When
and
you lived
hummingbird
here, you kept
feeders.
everything stocked and ready for the birds. And
Yes.
and you're the one that we always text everything to. What bird is this, Jacob?
And you're quite the artist. You went through a phase where you drew a bunch of birds.
I did.
Yes,
yeah.
and they were very realistic.
They might
looking.
end up at a museum one day.
One day.
Yes, I hope so. But it'd be like if you were one of those natural people before they had cameras and you were out doing the sketches in the
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? When that was the only way that they could describe it scientifically.
And it's amazing you still like birds. So you had a very traumatizing experience as a young child. You want to share that with us?
And I don't remember all the details. I just, there was a little bit of an attack by a peacock?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jacob got attacked by a peacock.
So Josh has been attacked by a shark and Jacob's been attacked by a peacock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Maria?
I don't know. I guess she hasn't. But
She got attacked by fake injuries.
Yeah.
She ran out of power.
But she ran out of power and her ankle got twisted.
yeah,
She
that's
twisted her ankle.
Was there ankle ran
Yeah.
out of power?
Yeah.
So you've always loved birds.
Yes.
Right.
Are you in college for birds? Like, what's the deal?
Majoring in birds.
All
What's your
right.
major? Birds.
Appalachian State University, Boone, North Carolina. My major is in biology with a concentration in ecology, evolution, and environmental science, which is about as close as they get to a degree in conservation biology or wildlife biology. But that is something I hope to go to grad school for, where I would get a little more specific on what I do. But for now, just the ecology and environmental science aspect of things and taking various classes. I did take a bird class last semester, but that's only one class.
Oh, we mentioned that though, because we were comparing and contrasting Maria, who was wearing roller skates on her hands and knees to make a movie, versus you, who had to get back to what were you doing with those birds? Sometimes the frozen ones.
Oh, we were making study skins, skinning the birds and stuffing them, making museum specimens, basically.
So,
I can't say mine should be shown anywhere.
I was going to say, so the New York Museum of Natural History or DC National Museum, they're not going to be
I don't
calling
think
you
they're
up
gonna
to
be
do
hitting me
it.
up anytime soon.
He could do the art behind it in the diorama type thing and do the skinning and stuffing of the birds.
Are they good enough to display at the Danbury Stokes County Branch Library?
Absolutely. They look like, they're not much worse than, the specimens at Hanging Rock, the stuffed animals living up there.
So you could
I would say
do that.
it's on par with what I've seen in Danbury.
So you you took this class, you learned about the birds. How did you find, like, what types of, how does one even discover this internship and what happens with it?
Yeah, I really, I don't even remember. I cast a wide net. I applied to a lot of places. And this one, I knew about the Audubon Society just from social media and just growing up interested in birds. And I found out, Audubon, North Carolina, and Audubon, South Carolina. I emailed both of them early on in the school year last year, asked if they had internships, to which Audubon, South Carolina ended up replying and linking the one that I applied for, or directing me to it somehow. I ended up finding it eventually through them and applied and, got accepted ultimately. So.
Did you ever hear from North Carolina?
Not that I can remember.
Dang.
And this was, I'm sure, a super easy internship. There's like 200 people, right, doing this internship. And
I was by myself. I was the only intern.
And a lot of people had applied for this one position.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool. But you were the only intern. Yes. So you get ready to show up, roll up, and they give you housing, which was amazing.
Yes. Housing provided, paid internship. Couldn't really have asked for, much better situation to be in.
And you like the people you work with.
And I loved everybody I worked with. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, we had a family friend ask, could you not just keep living there doing the job and finish your senior year online?
That would have been ideal, but it's
Because who's living in that house now?
it's just seasonal. People come and stay in it from time to time, but nobody's living in it permanently.
See, that's what I'm saying. That could have been
It's waiting for you.
Did you even propose that?
They would have
deal?
started charging me rent probably.
Yeah, if you stayed permanently,
Yeah.
they'd be like, we can't let this kid stay here forever. Like
Well, they
that.
ain't getting none out of it right now.
So if we go back to like kind of what you did though, so you did a lot of different things. So like what kind of work, like what would a day look like in some of this internship?
That's the hard part because it was something different every single day.
Which I love.
It was. I love that too. It's a lot of fun. There was really no, and not in a bad way, but just not much consistency week by week of what I did. I was doing something different, but that was pretty much planned on purpose just so I could get a good scope of what the different jobs would be and just get an idea of, what different positions do. But the most fun that we did, 10 times total over the summer. Sometimes it ended up, every week to every other week was the MAPS banding days. MAPS being Monitoring Avian Productivity and Survivorship, which is the big organization that pretty much runs all the banding in the United States. And that's who we would set up.
Similar to it's basically the bird New World Order, the Illuminati of the birds. They control all the birds.
Not getting into this.
Yeah. Anyway, so you would, because I think this is fascinating. Walk us through what you do and why you do it.
So the purpose of the banding is ultimately for tracking. My boss would describe it as a social security number for the birds because each band is a unique number. There's different size bands depending on what kind of bird, but none of them will ever be the same number. And they're put on the leg of the birds. This is kind of the oldest method of tracking birds, but it's just, the cheapest and easiest way to do it. But you ultimately get your information by recapturing birds that are banded. And when they travel around, land in a net, you take notes on all the notes about them, get their band, and it all ends up at the end of the season being uploaded into the MAPS database where any of these researchers upload all their data, can see anything about the bird's history, where it's been caught at, where it got banded, and that's how you're ultimately finding out where it's traveling to. Because there's banding stations in other countries, and down Costa Rica, South America, and that's how we see where these birds go during the winter. So that's kind of it's for tracking, and then just we take a lot of notes on. We figure out the age by looking at molt limits in the feathers, which is a challenge of its own. But aging the bird, getting its size, weight, just looking at its health overall, and then it gets released.
So how are you doing this? Do you have like a trap, like that trap for that opossum we had in the garage, and you just put some bait in it and the birds fly in? Like, how are you catching these birds?
Yeah, so for the MAPS day specifically, we would have 10 nets across the property. They're called mist nets, and they're pretty, I'm bad with estimating numbers, but I would guess, somewhere in the 10 to 20 feet long range, probably going up, pushing 10 feet high. And there's 10 of these nets set up around that we would open up right at the crack of dawn at about 5:30 on these days, and have them open up. And they're really fine. The netting is, so the birds are not able to see it, at least not very well, or until it's too late. So we would make our rounds every 30 and 40 minutes, where we would follow a trail and hit all 10 nets and just bring in any birds that had flew into them, because they fly in and just land in these. Essentially, it's split into these sections, 5 or 6 sections that are just like a big pocket almost. They fly in, get a little twisted, and we have to remove them, and we have them. So, and we do what we need to do and let them go.
Is there a specialized method to safely remove them and hold them and tag, like?
I mean,
because you told me there's like 2 different holds or something. There's like
there's
a
different ways to
bending
hold them,
them.
depending on, you hold them in different ways in your hand depending on what you're doing. And then in terms of extracting them, it's just people have different ways, but I just followed what I was taught. Getting the feet, which is usually getting the feet out first, then removing wing, head, wing. It just depends on how it's tangled up. It'll be totally different. None of them are going to be the same, really.
Now, how are these birds? Are some nice and some not nice?
Oh,
or
absolutely. Yeah. So,
tell us some about bird personalities, so we can decide what bird we are based on that.
With like notorious strong personalities. The cardinals were usually very, would be described as mean. I don't think any of them are mean. They probably just think they're about to get eaten or killed, so they're just, trying to defend themselves. But the cardinals were brutal. They would peck you the entire time, bite. They would bite really hard. But still love getting them. That's our state bird. That's one that I've seen growing up a lot. That was one that I really liked. So I still enjoyed it nonetheless. Wrens are very good at just getting out. They can be in your hand, and they could be on the scale. They could be in the bag, and they're just really good about finding a way.
Artist?
Yes, finding a way out through the smallest holes. They'll get a way out. Titmice were very mean. Kind of the same way as cardinals, just biting, making a lot of noise, mainly. Made a lot of noise, same with the woodpeckers. But a lot of the ones that we caught were different species of warblers, and all of those were super nice, super calm, just sat there, did the whole process, didn't really squirm, didn't really make noise, just sat there, got everything done, and then flew off.
So Mom would be a cardinal and I'd be a warbler?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, think the birds that you dealt with, that's a good question.
Is it?
What would Mom be and what would I be?
I wanted to be that beautiful painted bunting.
No, you don't.
What's its personality like? People should look those up, the painted bunting. They're really pretty.
It was in between. It wasn't, it probably wasn't the calmest, but it definitely wasn't mean. It wasn't really biting me or anything. The ones that did all the biting was usually the cardinals.
And then the woodpeckers would sometimes peck.
Woodpeckers would try and peck sometimes, but not really as bad, because you kind of got to, they're pretty big. You got to hold them a different way. They're not really able to get as good of an angle on you, per se.
And those painted buntings, that was one of the things that you were studying a lot there, right? Or one of the focuses, or was it just?
Not necessarily. We did it a couple times. The main thing that we looked at, the biggest bird in that area was a prothonotary warbler, which is it really only it only lives in the swamps. These old bottom layer hardwood forests, where they nest in the cavities of these trees. They're the only cavity nesting warbler on the East Coast, which is a little fun fact. But they need these trees to survive, and it's the only area that's where their food is, their territory, where they raise their young. So there was a lot of them in the swamp, but there's only so many of these swampy areas left. And, a lot of them are in South Carolina, Florida, Georgia a little bit, but just these small little pockets where they're pretty prevalent there, but overall not that common anymore. So that's where a lot of our work was done with banding them. We would do targeting banding sometimes with them, trying to get them. And there was actually a couple of them that had these geolocators, which is a little bit different than just the aluminum band, because it tracks the bird. It uses something with sun's rays or atmospheric pressure or something, but it's a little backpack that's super light. But the bird travels
with a
down.
Little backpack.
Yeah, it travels down, does its migration, and when it comes back, they're able to hook it up to some sort of software, and it will read pretty much exactly where the bird went for the winter. So that was pretty cool.
Okay, that time you had to climb up really high and it looked really scary. Would that be something that's picking up the signals, or was that different?
That's a whole different thing. So that's the third type of tracking. Modus towers is, Modus, they have these towers and little antennas that can go on the backs of birds, but also even, bats and insects get these little backpacks that, they have to be really light. I can't remember. I think it's a very small percentage of the bird's body mass is all that they can be. So only certain species can have them because they only come in so many sizes. But they have an antenna, and if they fly within, X amount of miles of a Modus tower, it will ping, and you're able to track, and in like not real time, but a lot more. You won't have to recover anything. It pings whenever it flies in the area, so there's no recovery needed. So it's probably the most efficient, not efficient, the best way, but not as efficient because you can't put them on everything. They're more expensive, etc.
So what was it like going up? Describe that tower that you had to go up to do a repair.
Yeah, so we had to go to the Clemson Experimental Forest and climb a 100-foot fire tower because that is where one of the Modus computers and antennas were, and we had to go up there and readjust the antenna, and it involved, that. I mean, it's a tall fire tower. It's not enclosed. We have rails beside us, but other than that, it's a humongous drop-off, and we would have to literally do the work, unscrewing all this stuff on the antennas, moving them around, screwing everything back in. It was scary.
I was going to say, were you scared? Because I was scared just seeing the video and pictures.
It was pretty nerve-wracking for sure.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Was it something that you thought it would be? So at the end of the summer, looking back, were you like, yeah, this was exactly what I thought it would be. This was not at all what I thought it would be, or something in the middle?
I'd have to say something in the middle because I didn't really have any expectations of what I would be doing going into this. In terms of enjoyment, it exceeded expectations. I knew I would love it, but it just went really well. I didn't really have a bad day working. But from the standpoint of what I expected to be doing, I'd read the description. I knew kind of, an idea of what I would be doing, but it's stuff I've never done before. So, you can only imagine so much. But in terms of, the experience, I would say it exceeded expectations. But yeah.
You also did some stuff with shorebirds. What did you do with them?
I did a little bit of, shorebird nest monitoring where we would travel to the coast, and we had a stretch of beach on Folly Beach in Charleston that, it was mainly Wilson's plovers that nested there. And we walked a stretch, maybe 1 or 2 miles, where we walked down the beach and checked, X amount of nests that they had found. And twice a week, somebody would go and walk it, and we're checking for, predation. We're checking for behavior of the parents. We're checking to see if the eggs have hatched, because they have these little GPS devices, these Garmin devices that, you could put in the coordinates and we could walk right up to the nest. So we would go to each nest and see, have these ones hatched? Are there predator tracks? Are there human tracks? Or, what's the deal? And just get an idea. And it was pretty cool because after the first week or two, we started to see the chicks running out feeding with their parents, which is really cool. They were adorable. But, it was a lot of fun.
One other question just about the environment, but you're doing some of this in a swamp, right? You're
Yeah, I mean, Bidler Forest is a swamp, basically.
So you're walking in the swamp some?
Well, I mean, we have a boardwalk. There's a boardwalk that goes around through the swamp, and that's the attraction. That's what the nature center is. There's people that come, and just like anywhere else, you can come, get a ticket, and walk the boardwalk. And
which Josh and I got to do. And when we were with you, we saw an owl all sorts of stuff. I highly recommend that people check out their Instagram because the person posts amazing things.
It's great. It's great.
Yes.
And you will see a lot more, not just birds, but wildlife. But there are a lot of birds there, like in a high concentration in a little area.
Would you say it's just a smaller version of Congaree National Park, or is it totally different?
So the difference with Congaree and Bidler is Congaree National Park, just south of Columbia, is fed by the Congaree River, which it's constantly flowing. There's constantly water, pretty much roughly the same amount, barring, some crazy flooding or something. But it's moving water. It's going through all these trees. And I might be wrong, but I believe it's different tree species. But Bother, on the other hand, is a swamp that's fed pretty much through just rain and rainwater. And it's still standing. I mean, there's little creeks, but most of the water there is, standing water. It's not fed by a river or anything. So it is different in that degree. Different. You'll find different species there. But yeah, a little different.
You also got to do some fishing there.
I did not. You can't fish at Bother Forest,
right.
But at the house I was staying at,
I mean, in general, in the vicinity,
in the area,
the
I would
beach
fish
and stuff. Yeah,
gar, bullhead catfish, bowfin, pickerel, bluegill, bass. Yeah.
How were the bugs?
They were about what you would think at a swamp in the South. Just not anything that I'm looking back on with a positive attitude, but I made it through. They probably could have been worse. They kept telling me that they've been worse years prior, so I can't imagine what those were like because I was getting eaten up pretty bad. But that's only a small. The job's enjoyable enough. I was able to look past that, and they didn't kill me, but it was you were definitely getting bit up.
So, what was your favorite part of the summer?
I don't know. I can't say I really have a favorite part. Because I love everybody I've worked with. I loved all the work I did, all the different jobs. I mean, as somebody who loves birds, getting to hold them in your hand and see them close up is definitely a pretty cool experience because most of the time, they're elusive. They can fly. You're looking at them far away. But to see some of these close up was really cool.
And you can only do that if you're working with like a specially licensed, certified person.
It takes a lot of training and work to get a banding certification. It's not necessarily something anybody can just go do. So it was definitely, something, unforgettable. It's not something you can just do every day. So it's definitely something that I'm happy I did. It was a lot of fun, but really the whole job was fun for me. There wasn't really anything I disliked or didn't look forward to.
Well, that's what I think. What was your least favorite
the hardest?
Part?
I mean, I don't really have one. I mean, the only thing, I told them this on my last day. They asked me the same two questions on my last day, and I'm giving the same two answers. The only thing I really disliked was, the bugs, but what can you do about it? It's the job itself there was nothing to dislike. Just little things like that, nothing that really.
What about isolation? I mean, because you've either been here at the house or you've been living in dorms or apartments at college with lots of friends, and all of a sudden,
you're by yourself.
And that's the difference between you and Maria too. Maria went down and she lives with all the other. I mean, there's 7,000
college program
students at Disney, but you're the only intern in this house. How was that?
Yeah, that was definitely different. I mean, it's nothing I had done before. I just found myself, whenever I wasn't working, I had a lot of downtime, a lot of time to sit around. And I had my PlayStation, but that can only take you so far. But, I'm in this area in the great outdoors, a new environment, new ecosystem. So the first few weeks, I definitely did a lot of exploring around the area, walking trails, walking up and down the driveway, just through the different areas, looking.
Because you had a long driveway over like a mile. Driveway. Yeah. And you were isolated. You're the only house out there down there. It was isolated.
I was the only house on a road that is about a mile
and a half,
over a mile long.
Yeah.
And I just filled, a lot of my downtime I just filled with golf and fishing. So.
And on your property though, I know when we were there, we saw the fireflies. I didn't get to see it, but you saw armadillo.
There was tons of armadillos. Yeah.
And then deer.
Yeah, you can see
and snakes, but I was trying to think of anything else different. But the armadillo and then the garfish, those were different fish.
Yeah, gar, bowfin, pickerel. I never caught any of those before I came down there. Armadillo, those are not prevalent where we are, so that was cool. There's different species of birds too that you'll see that you don't see, and snakes and lizards. But for the most part, a lot of it I had, seen before, but in terms of fish, birds, and whatnot, it was some pretty new things.
So you do it again?
Absolutely, yeah.
I have one other question, because I think for Maria, when she went to the Disney college program the first time, that was the first time that she kind of found her people, like finding these people that love something you love as much as you do. Was this kind of your first time finding people that are passionate about birds, and that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I took a bird class, ornithology my spring semester last year. So I met, a couple, but that's a small class, 10 or 12 people. And, some people definitely had the passion and some people were just taking it because they thought it would be a cool, option for their degree. But this was the first time being around so many people with, a shared love for this, definitely. So that was pretty cool.
Did you ever have to do any tours or teaching or anything, or you didn't have much public interaction?
There was, there was a couple days where I, helped out at the front desk, and then there was one time where we did do a demonstration to a group. I don't know if it was a summer camp or something, but we were at Old Santee Canal Park in South Carolina, not far. Another good one to go visit, but they also have the prothonotary warblers, and we had two that we did a banding demonstration for a group of, quite a few kids and just some adult chaperones, and everybody was pretty entertained, had questions, and we got to help inform the public.
Were the warblers, are those the ones that you can put out the gourds they live in, or is that a different?
That's the other thing. Yeah, we did work with purple martins who live in man-made gourds. Pretty much the entire East Coast population of purple martins survivorship depends on man-made gourds. It's if you're out in the country, you've probably seen them. It's just these big giant poles with a bunch of just these white gourds hanging off of them, usually about, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 of them. And these purple martins nest in those. And when we worked with them, we worked with the chicks mainly, and we would lower them, take them out, band the chicks, weigh the chicks. People would clean out the inside of the gourds and replace the nest with new nesting material so it's clean because, parasites and nest mites can be pretty bad in these. So we would just clean them out, put them back in and raise them back up. So. And
you saw a lot of South Carolina, I feel like, too, because there were days y'all would drive to do some stuff. You would, yeah. We
scaled a lot of that state, at least going down, if you take a slash through it, I would say going, the I-26 route, we saw a lot of that. We saw
low country.
Yeah. Even expanding up to, we saw Charleston. We went up to a lot around Charleston, Santee, couple other places I can't remember off the top of my head, but just kind of up that area, going up kind of up the coast, probably got to about halfway to Myrtle Beach. And we've obviously, we've seen Columbia, and then we would go out. We worked in Clemson, which is, for them, the high country. And then, Aiken, which is right across from Augusta on the Savannah River. So I really did see a lot of that state. And it's some completely different ecosystems and environments all around.
So what kind of job opportunities or things? Because I had some people, I was having lunch with some friends from work, and they were like, so what would his job do? What does he want to do? He wants to be a bird bander. I was like, I don't know. So like, what kind of different jobs might you get doing not exactly this work, but something similar to that?
Yeah, and it just kind of depends. That's also what I'm trying to figure out as well, because it's a pretty big field. A biology degree can be pretty vague, especially with the environmental science and ecology. It's still a pretty big field with a lot of options. And the birds being a fascination, I would love to work with them. So the Audubon Society has, chapters in a lot of different states. If you work directly for Audubon, depending on position, but if you're working to be some sort of biologist with them, you can do what my boss did, and she was like the master bander for our area. And but there's, other jobs, government jobs, federal or state, like working for, Department of Natural Resources or Fish and Wildlife, who could end up doing something similar. A lot of times those people will sometimes have banding projects, but it just kind of depends. There's a lot of different options.
So do you have any advice for people who love birds, how they can help the bird population?
Keep your cats inside. Outdoor cats kill birds. They drive species to extinction, not just birds, but reptiles, amphibians. A lot of people don't know this or just think, my cat would never, but they all do it. native plant
Time out.
species.
You're telling me if Snips escapes,
Absolutely.
that chubby
Absolutely.
cat there,
Absolutely.
okay, he would do okay.
And then planting, having native plant areas in your yard or garden or whatever, where you plant some native species that pollinators and birds alike will enjoy and be drawn to. But people just a lot of times don't want to do these things. It can be a hassle. They might not think it looks good. They don't want to take their cat inside, but little things like that. If you really want to bring in the birds and protect them, it's just little things like that. Not that hard. I don't.
So
think.
everybody can be a hero.
Everybody can.
Yeah,
If
in the
everybody
bird's
did
world.
it in a perfect world,
Yeah.
Not all heroes wear capes.
I know. I
It
remember.
would be thriving, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Well, thanks for sitting down with us.
Of
Yeah,
course.
I feel like I learned so much. I think that's been the really fun thing about your job has been just learning about these things that we had no idea. Because, I mean, there's so many jobs out there, because we were talking about this at my work lunch too. Like, if you're getting a job like as a lawyer or a nurse or something that you get a professional license for, you've got a pretty straight path. But a lot of other degrees that students are getting, it's kind of hard to know exactly what career opportunities are out there. And this is something, I mean, as a former even science major, of course, I knew people would study birds, but I never knew about the expansiveness of this bird banding and all the different ways you can band birds and track birds and, why you would do it and what you could learn from it. So I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and I didn't either, but I'm definitely glad I found out, because it's definitely probably opened the door for a lot of new opportunities and jobs that I would not have known existed. But I'm glad I did.
Well, I'm just thankful since you were down there so isolated that you got to have such a great experience and got to work with really good people too.
Absolutely, yeah.
That would have been Mom's worst nightmare, to be down there by herself. Probably.
It would have been. I would not have adapted well to
I'd
it.
have loved it.
I would have had to ask one of them, like, "Hey, will you come be my roommate because I'm really lonely? Or can we please hang out? Or can I come to your house for dinner every night?" It would have just been really hard for me. Yeah.
Well, we're proud of you.
Yes.
Thank
Very
you.
We say
proud.
that all summer. I think what you did was pretty amazing. And,
Yeah.
chasing your dreams, man. I mean, that's what's cool is, you've had a passion and you want, you just keep pursuing it until you can't anymore. And I think you've always done that, whether it was with football or now with birds. I mean, it's kind of like the things that you like. Mom and I've always tried to give you the green light and you've taken it and run with it.
It's also cool because you literally loved birds. I mean, when he was like, as soon as he could read, you were not reading fiction. You were reading nonfiction animal books, primarily bird books. And he was educating us. We would be out and we'd be like, "Oh, look at this." And he'd be like, "It's not that." And one year for Halloween, you wanted to be a dodo bird. And I tried so hard to find a dodo bird costume, but that didn't work out. But it's really cool, too, that you've had a passion that has carried throughout your entire life, essentially. That's a really cool thing, I think.
Yeah, and I forgot that. Did you see many seagulls?
Yeah.
No such thing. No such thing as a seagull.
Can you explain why you're saying that to the listener?
When Jacob was like 4 or 5 years old, that used to be a trigger for him.
Yes.
As we'd be like, "Oh, look, a seagull." And he would be like, "There's no such thing as a seagull. It can be laughing gulls or such and such kind of gulls."
Dozens of species of gulls, and not one of them is a seagull.
He wasn't even in elementary school, and he was
correcting us.
He was. It
So
was
now
awesome.
I can't hear someone say seagull without thinking of
I
that.
can't either.
And I
That's
want
all
to
the thing,
correct
but
them.
I do too. I want to
Do
tell
it.
them, did you know that there's no such thing as a seagull? That's what
yeah,
I want to do.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, hey, thanks a lot, Jacob.
Yes.
Maybe this podcast will make it into the hands of somebody that hears this.
And thanks, that is an articulate, well-spoken,
Bird bander,
science-loving,
bird lover.
man that I need to hire.
Yeah, you
I
may
mean,
end
we've
up
got a far
somewhere.
reach with this podcast. It could really catapult you to the next level.
We have listeners in
career-wise.
38 countries.
Yeah.
A lot of them have birds.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Yes.
So we've heard. I mean,
So
we
we've
can't
heard.
verify, but we think they have birds.
Yeah. So anyway, well, thanks for joining us. Of
course.
So for all of our listeners, this has been Mike and Beth and Jacob. And this has been Hey, Are You Still There?